It's just taking over.
Tawala!
He's muted.
Nerds and geeks, hold on to your seats. It's about to go down.
The legendary Knights of the Nerd-O-Roundtable.
Yeah.
No, for some reason or other, when the countdown went off, my mic all of a sudden went mute. I don't know what's happening with that. I didn't mute the mic. It's all good. Nerds and geeks, we back at it again. The legendary Nerd-O-Roundtable in full effect. Nerd crew, what it do? We've got Spider-Noir and everything else. I can tell you this. Spider-Noir is quite possibly, if not exactly and implicitly, the best thing done to the Spider-Man universe that we've seen since the Spider-Verse. That series is exceptional.
Calm down.
Exceptional.
The Spider-Verse.
I have watched it in black and white. I have watched it in color. And as a spinoff from the Spider-Verse, this film carries on the legacy of that greatness. What Nic Cage did in this series overall, front to back, it is a very tight show. The show is consistent. It is grown. There are so many subtle things that are happening in the background being told in the time period in which this story takes place that are just mind-blowing. I absolutely loved it. Got my mom to watch it. She was like, damn, this show is fire. Like, I have no idea who this character is, but this show is fantastic. Just as a noir series, just as something that they brought to the screen. Wow, wow, wow. And okay, granted, I am a fan of Nic Cage, so seeing Nic Cage good is a plus for me. That is my 2 cents. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I happen to have it on good authority that Mo Kelly also likes this series.
I love this series. I'm a fan of the noir genre, and I made it very clear in the chat, and I'm making it very clear in the podcast that if you're going to watch this, you need to watch it in the black and white. If you want to go back and watch it in color like Tuala, that's fine. But to best appreciate the sensibilities of the era of filmmaking and the post-depressionist era, you got to watch it in black and white. So watch it in black and white. And like Tuala, I'm a huge Nicolas Cage fan. And Nicolas Cage, you can always tell when he's mailing it in or he's emotionally invested in the character. He's very much about character study and method acting. You have to be a certain age to appreciate his James Cagney impression and how that informed his character of the detective. And it was really, really a well-written detective piece. I said in the chat that it was the detective piece that Jessica Jones wished it could be, where he's being an actual detective, and you're following his steps. And oh, by the way, he had superpowers as well. The villains, they were the nice takes of some classic villains, and they changed some of the power sets. But it made sense within the universe. All the story writing made sense, and they have a gorgeous female protagonist, quote unquote,
brilliant too.
From
Very smart.
Sinners.
Yep, very smart too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
I didn't even recognize it. Okay, but it was just it was well done, and Nicolas Cage looks like and acts like an aging superhero. He's not beating everyone's ass. He's getting his ass beat along the way. He has a lot of human foibles, which I love about Marvel characters because they're fleshed out. They're people that we can relate to on certain levels. I can't relate to Superman. And I've always been a fan of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, because I could most relate to him. And now that I'm older, I can better relate to Ben Reilly, you know, the Spider. I just absolutely loved it. And anyone who doesn't love it is an asshole.
Okay, you know what I think?
I agree with that.
Bringing up something that's kind of interesting to me is that I like how they allude, because I was picking this up by episode 2. I was like, are we doing the super serum? And then by episode 4, they overtly say that this was a super soldiers. They use that phrase, super soldier.
With what they were trying to do with the soldiers, yes.
Yes.
And so then, because I was instantly like, ooh, are we tying this to
What, Captain America?
But the series?
What, Agent Carter?
No. But the series of
What series?
it's Captain America, but the series of Winter Soldier and
Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier.
No,
Yeah.
I think it would be closer to Captain America and his origin.
No, because Captain America came out in World War II. This would be World War One.
I don't think
Because
Marvel
you had-
Disney would ever allow that.
Yes, it is.
The 30s.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because Prohibition took place before World War II. And so the fact that they're having a conversation about Prohibition in this lets me know that this is World War One. So this had to be the experimentation on the first, during the Winter Soldier 1, when we got to find out that there was a prequel to Captain America. And then you have the Captain America film that will come out, which has it still has like that ambiance of the Rocketeer kind of look. So it's like this brownish hue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
So
were
I think
trying
it's
to
kind of
work
cool
on
that it's
the
black and
serum.
white to show you that
But they were
difference
working on
between
the
black
super
and
soldier serum before World War II, and the whole part of Captain America was they could never get it right until Steve Rogers. And it
I
was
get
like
that, but they practiced
But to Liz's
on these
point,
people.
they practiced on people during
Yeah.
World War One. It is where we
Okay,
got Isaiah
hold on.
Bradley, who came
Isaiah
before.
Bradley that
Let-
comes
let's
in
just-
in Winter and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, but that's
So
after World
let's,
War One.
let's just clarify.
No,
a
I'm just
couple
talking about Isaiah because he shows
Yeah,
up in the
yeah.
series.
after World War I. He was fighting in the
World-
Korean War.
Right. World War One ended.
No.
Hold on, everybody. World War One ended in 1918. Prohibition started in 1920 and ran until 1933. The series is set in the 30s. So whether or not what year in the 30s we are when the story picks up,
It's before Prohibition. It's before the Prohibition.
the show
Act
is
that-
not set before Prohibition. It's not.
The
It's
show is
set-
19.
The show
The show
is
starts in
because
1931.
you don't have the amendment because they're advocating for the amendment of the end to for Prohibition to rescind the 18th.
Right. And it ended in 33.
Okay,
It
and
did
so
not
I'm
start
telling
before
you,
World War One. It was
I
enacted.
didn't say it was
after
before World War One. This happened post World War One, before World War Two. So Isaiah Bradley was in the mix somewhere, experimented on in World War One, in the World War One between era. Steve Rogers comes along in World War Two, is what I'm saying. And so I thought it was cool that they made that connection here. 'cause I
Bradley
was
came
thinking that
after Captain America.
Yes, he did.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
no, he did not.
that's what I thought. I could be
No,
wrong.
Because he was
Isaiah
experimented
Bradley-
on first.
Yeah. Isaiah Bradley within the comic universe and in the series, he came before Captain America, long before. Him fighting
Yeah.
Bucky was just another mission because he was always kept underground. He was always kept in the dark and never got a chance to be a hero, but he came long before Cap. The brothers that were experimented on during the Isaiah Bradley era was Marvel telling a kind of a Tuskegee experiment kind of story where they were saying before they gave the story to Steve Rogers, they tested it out on these black troopers. But
Okay,
that
wait,
formula,
hold-
they had been
hold
working
on.
on it for a while.
Let's not lose our nerd cred. Isaiah Bradley was an attempt to recreate the serum after Erskine died. He was not a precursor. He was the first set. They experimented a la Tuskegee, which was after World War II. They experimented on the black soldiers in an attempt to recreate it because everybody else was dying.
That's
didn't
what I thought
want
as
to
well.
put white soldiers, and that is in the movies. It's even later because in the movies everything is later. So Steve was still frozen in the 40s, but Isaiah didn't come until even after that. So the point is, Spider-Noir is what we're talking about. And
No,
so,
but they're alluding to it, Tom. You haven't gotten to that part of the
I
Spider-Noir.
understand all of that. It's a different universe too.
Yes, it's a
It's
totally
not the
different
same
universe.
because
Not the same
it's not
universe.
Peter Parker, it's Ben Reilly. So
Okay.
there's
Then
lots
they
of
made a
differences.
distinct purpose to bring in, but they made a distinct purpose. They didn't have to
mention
say
Super
super soldier.
Okay.
I get
So
it.
it's automatically going to give people the conversation of connecting it to Steve Rogers. They could have said, they could
Except
have filled
this
in the
is
blank
Sony.
something else.
This is Sony and Marvel
okay,
Disney's
he
never
can't have the
allowed them to do
classic.
that.
He can't have the classic, the radioactive spider bite him because this is pre-World War II, so there's no atom bomb, there's no radiation to work with to have a spider to bite him. So they had to create some sort of other origin story for him.
Right.
You know what? I'm gonna pull
Yeah,
up my
yeah.
Good Liz.
So while all of that's going on, what I will say is that I agree with Mo as a fan of the noir genre. I think you probably didn't recognize Lee Jun Lee because she wasn't letting vampires into his office and lighting herself on fire. But it is the same actor who played Grace in Sinners. And yes, she is gorgeous and she's great as a femme fatale looking chick. I also like his secretary who pulled out the gun on the dude. I really like the space. I like the actors that they have cast to inhabit the space. Everybody from the barfly chick who's trying to hook up with anybody who's in that dive bar.
A hot mess.
Looking greasy and shiny greasy. All of that works. The only question, and I guess it's going to be borne out, what I will say is that if you don't know much about the character and you kick off the show with Spider-Man swinging through the city and kicking ass, albeit CGI ass, because just like my good man Denzel Washington, he ain't moving the same in Equalizer 3 as he was moving in Equalizer 1. So that all of that is fine. But to me, the immediate question it raised was, yes, I get that it's 5 years later. Yes, I get that he's kind of given up on the identity, but you don't lose the powers. Even in the Into the Spider-Verse movies, the other people, the paunchier Peter from whatever universe that was, who's got the gut, he was still fully Spider-Man. And Nic Cage is getting winded climbing up buildings. Nic Cage is being throttled by having a door swung open on him, but then he still shoots his webs. So it was just a little confusing. I get that there's an explanation and I buy that there's an explanation, but when you're creating a universe out of whole cloth, I think it is a good idea to either start with him not showing off how great a spider he actually was, and starting off with him in the contemplative retrospective, I lost my girl, and then showing the powers reemerge, as opposed to saying, oh, so he really is a full Spider-Man, but now he's just choosing not to use his powers. Whereas when Tobey Maguire had his existential crisis, they explained it very quickly. I can't shoot webs anymore because I don't believe in myself, or whatever. You haven't set that stage, and it just looked kind of weird. I was willing to buy it until he shot the web, and I was like, oh, so he does have his powers. Okay,
yeah, but no, Tom, he was going, when we were introduced to him, he was already going through it. He was already aged. He was already physically on the decline, and this is a Spider-Man who really and truly did, for the most part, give it up. He was not using his powers all the time, and that was his choice. He was not trying to. So the times that he did use his powers were when he wanted to. And the one thing he did not have control over was the spider sense. And unlike every other spider that we've seen who could recognize the danger, his spider sense did not immediately tell him what the dangers were, which I thought was a great change in the adaptation of the spider sense. And especially looking at how he was drunk all the damn time, how half the time, yeah, it's believable that he did not have the command of his powers that he should. I really like how towards the, well, you're not there yet, but there is a point when his powers do really, really get in flux, and you see like it's an age thing, and it's almost like, he's not as virulent as he once was, and sometimes you're shooting blanks.
Literally.
I will say though that he does explain this, right? He does explain away as to what happened. I don't know. I don't think I needed to know this. Like I thought that he was at the moment resting on the fact that he was a detective, and and I love how they aged up Bugle, and I loved how they had the level of I'm not sure how I'm convinced. They do talk a little bit about the segregation aspect of this, but I'm not necessarily convinced completely about the integration component, but I'm over that. I can look beyond that a bit.
None of that was historically accurate. When Lamorne Morris, Robbie Robertson, I think his character's name was, said like he referred to himself as a black man. No, they would not refer to himself as a black man in the 1930s. It would have been colored Negro. Little things like that I had to just allow because they're speaking in the parlance of today, not the language of the early 20th century. So I just I saw all that, but they did acknowledge segregation on some level. They do go through the black neighborhoods and they talk about you serve for this basically white man and you come back home and this is how they treat you. So they acknowledge it. They don't ignore it. So I'll give them that much.
There's some racist stuff there too. When he went to the woman's house and she says, I will scream and you're a black man, I'm a white woman. What do you think is going to happen? I'll say, okay, I'm used to being somewhat realistic.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is fair to say again, this is a completely different universe, and we don't know what the rules are in that universe as far as when racial identity crystallized. And so it's certainly true in our real universe here, where we are on a podcast right now. But in that version of the 1930s, who knows? So that's the sort of thing that I can let go, just because a lot of things are different. Would Robbie Robinson, whatever, would he be a reporter in the 30s talking shit about a mob boss? Probably not. But again, it's a different universe. And so if you buy the fact that we're in a different universe, and we're in a different universe where the Avengers don't exist, where, Namor doesn't exist, any of the characters who are pulpy from that era, if those people don't exist, although I guess there was kind of a Human Torch aside, I thought maybe Addison was the Human Torch. But not anymore, clearly. So it's an enjoyable show. I'm going to watch it.
They do make a point though that their regiment was not. They take a picture, right? So this picture becomes this thing, and they eventually do make a point that there was segregation within the army. So there's a lot that they do tend to kind of align with what is happening in the 30s.
They were trying their best to acknowledge. But this is a show where that doesn't need to be the focus, because though Lamar was in the character and I appreciate his role, they didn't want to make the show about Spider-Man fighting racism and segregation. That wasn't the mission of the show. And in order to have a black character in the show during that time, albeit a different universe, they still want to make sure that we as the audience knew that they were recognizing what was going on. And I think that this was brought to light by the fact that I believe the first 6 episodes of this series are directed by Black women. And so that right there is very, very powerful. Nzinga Smith and I forgot the other sister's name, but they did
Mostly
episodes 1 through 4 and 5 and 6, and then a guy took over the last 2 episodes.
I'm gonna say
I think that they are the ones who really were like, if this is what we're doing, we want to make sure that these things are included, which I think also had a lot to do with the musical choices and a lot of the vibe and the sound and how the show really, really flourished. I thought that their treatment also of the female protagonist, I thought that that was for how we normally see Asian women portrayed in series as just simply being sex sirens and things like that. They did a lot to make sure we knew that this was a very shrewd and brilliant woman in her own right. And I think that those things, even the secretary, I think that those things were handled really, really good by the crew in making sure that this was a fully fleshed out show where every single person had motive, every person had reason. Even, you know, the character who did become the ultimate villain, when you finally saw that his motivations are as simply as base as wanting to be the big bad, those things are all explained. They don't leave anything out. And I thought that that's what made the show so damn good. And for me, in my taste and what I like, yes, I absolutely enjoy the Spider-Man films, because for me, the Tom Holland ones, because they finally made Spider-Man a kid again for me. The very first Tobey Maguire film, I felt that he was a kid, and I thought that was good. But as they got on, I just, it for me, you know, Spider-Man 2, of course, all-time classic. But then after that, Andrew Garfield, to me, he wasn't a good fit because he was just too old acting, and Tom Holland really does seem like a kid in those things. So I like seeing Spider-Man be Spider-Man, but as far as telling stories go and things that catch my mind and are beyond just, punching the bad guy, I got to stop the bad guy, I got to be Spider-Man. This took us into some different levels in talking about society and even the why, and why do I need to be Spider-Man? Why do I need to do this? It was more than just a question on the main character's mind. It was just, so well done. So well done.
I will say that I like the secretary. The secretary reminds me of the secretary in Wonder Woman. But I'm going to say though that
Candy.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily feel. I mean, I enjoy the Chinese, the Asian character. However, it really does feel the stereotype in a number of ways.
I gotta disagree with you there, because without giving too much away, they want the people around her, and Twala, tell me if you agree with this. They want the characters around her to believe. And they talk about it explicitly, that she's only just a good-looking singer. She's there for eye candy, and people underestimate her every step of the way. Yes. Every single character. And this series turns on the actions of the female characters. That's all I can say. Everything that the female characters do pushes the story.
Doesn't she remind you of the female character in Warrior? Do you guys remember watching Warrior?
Yes, it's there's some.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. The HBO series, yeah.
There's some similarities, I'm saying, but they want you to think that she's only a stereotype because we meet her in the club. She's gorgeous, she's sensual, and you think you're looking at that stereotype. And as you get deeper into the series, you realize that she has already gamed this out. No one knows what she's capable of, and each character along the way, and Twala knows what I'm talking about, I don't want to give it away. Each character along the way in the series realized that they've underestimated her or read her wrong or were duped by her. Every single one.
Two things. I appreciate the fact, Mo, you bring up, and Twala, I know I like Nicolas Cage, but he's done some stinkers right along the way.
Everyone has.
But Nicolas Cage, I think he's a likability factor versus versus the Jones character. I didn't like her. The actor herself, the Jessica Jones character, I wasn't a
Kristen
fan.
Ritter.
And so
Yeah.
with Nicolas Cage, I think that there's a likability factor that helps merge the two. But also, when you had Into the Spider-Verse, he kind of really embodies the Into the Spider-Verse essence. So this really kind of helped for me, even more so the two factors, like the show, and then also Nicolas Cage. I think he does a great job in it, in general. But you know, I lost my other train of thought.
Hey, can you pull up Kevin's comment? He has a question in the chat talking about the issue of Spider-Noir, Ben Reilly losing his powers. I don't know if you saw it. There it is.
So I don't know if this, Kevin, I don't know if this is an aside specifically to what you perceive to be the case with Spider-Noir, or you were just making a reference to the broader question of Spider-Man and the struggles that they have had in dealing with either transformation of their powers or struggles with maintaining their powers throughout the various different versions, because there have been many, especially since the Spider-Verse became a thing, and you have so many different spider totems all across the space. I
will say this. For one, I am a fan of Christian Ritter, but different strokes for different folks. I'm on episode 3. I'm really enjoying it. I'm also a huge fan of Nicolas Cage. I like the fact that so far from what I've seen, when everyone's trying to insult Riley, he's so self-deprecating that he goes, "Yeah, I'm a coward. Yeah, and they have no way of like making him feel bad or dissing him, because like he's already dissed himself. It's like the best like rebuttal. I love his quick wit. Like even when like he fought Sandman in episode 1, he's just like, I'm not afraid of heights, dude. Like that's not gonna work,
right?
Even his dad humor, and I know it's a dumb joke, but I never heard it before. When he tells like the I guess the guy on the front desk, like, yeah, I'm looking for Stein. Frank and Stein. I'm like, okay, that's so dumb, but okay, yeah, that's kind of funny. But yeah.
But do you know where that comes from? He's like a fan of movies. He imitates all these different characters.
He's not there yet, Mo.
No, but they do show him as far as in the movies and like watching stuff.
He's
so
also
but he gets in the series. In the series, he really gets to why that joke.
Yeah, he's also a fan. Yet. He's also a fan of Asian women too, which explains a lot about this show. Just gonna put that out there. But yeah, like I said, right now I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. They've already signed up for like a season 2, so this is
Oh, that would be great.
So I'm looking forward to it.
There are moments though, even though I watched it in black and white, and I thought, oh, this is really good in black and white, especially the scene where not a spoiler alert, but when she falls down, when she intentionally falls off the ledge.
Don't give me context to that. Yeah.
That was such a great ending of the episode in black and white. But then there are other parts where I was like, oh, I wonder what this would look like in color. I do like the concept of probably getting 2 different effects by watching it versus black and white versus in color.
You absolutely get not an entirely different vibe, but the color does paint a different picture for what's going on in the moment. Like there are some things that come to life differently, like in moments when it's raining and it's in black and white, it's really like stark, the rain and how it hits, versus when it's in color and you see everything happening in the background. The use of the powers in color
Mm,
versus in black and white hits
especially
differently.
electricity, I imagine.
Especially that. And one thing that definitely hits differently is Kat and a lot of the outfits that she wears. Like when you hear them
Mm,
describing the outfits and you hear how she's being kept pretty and this, that, and the other, though you can see she's obviously an attractive woman in the black and white, but when you see the color version, you see all the different changes in outfits and things like that. They do pay a lot of attention, and the color palette in the color
mm,
version, it's not, it's a different kind of color. It's not like a modern color. It's weird. It almost is like a Dick Tracy. I don't know if you
mm,
remember that film, but it almost has a vibe like really brilliant and specific colors, kind of like how the Dick Tracy film was. So
mm,
I appreciate both versions, but you have to start watching it in black and
Mhm.
white to really
Yeah.
appreciate what it is they're trying to do, and really and truly just how well of a series it is. But that is Spider-Noir. And on
Hey,
another note,
Twala,
what's up,
before you
brother?
move on,
Mhm.
there's one thing I just want to say in closing. One of the reasons why I think this Spider Noir is doing so well is because you have serious actors like Brendan Gleeson, who's fantastic as Silvermane,
Yep.
who care about it, who treat this like it was just a noir detective series
mm,
of yore. It just happens to have a supernatural superhero element to it. And all the characters, the actors are invested in their characters, where sometimes you get big names and they obviously are mailing it in. No, Nicolas Cage cares about this role and he's thoroughly immersed within that role, which makes it that much more, I will say, impressive to me, because Nicolas Cage at this point in his career doesn't need to do this, doesn't need to do anything. And a lot of his movies, to Liz's point, in recent years, he was just kind of just getting a paycheck. And he's not getting a paycheck. He cares about being Ben Riley and all of the evolutions that he goes through throughout this series. When he's supposed to look like that he's going through it because he's been drinking all the time, whatever, he looks like it. It's not, and you look at the camera angles, it's very up close. You get to see all the imperfections and the age on his face, which is an intentional choice by the director, I'm sure. And you get to see that this is not some spry Tom Holland-esque superhero jumping around. This is an older guy who's struggling sometimes to get out of bed. And and the lifestyle has caught up with him in many ways. So he obviously has a sense of mortality. He has a sense of regret as far as what he's been doing with his life for the past 5 or 10 years. He's got the superpowers, but he couldn't save the one woman that he loves. I know it's a trope, but still, the emotional toll of it, in the way that we saw what was happening with Punisher and his PTSD, I appreciated where they allowed Nicolas Cage to go ahead and be full Nicolas Cage and let him just do his thing.
Also, there's a couple scenes of him just trying to get out of bed or trying to get comfy, where he is trying to adjust to a day of or after and he's not just, oh, it's all good, let me lay down. He's trying to crack his back, his neck. You feel the pain of being Spider-Man watching that was great. All the physicality. And when I say physicality, there are little things that Nic Cage brings to the story, these weird eccentric kind of movements and things that he does that you're like, man, like I wonder if they asked him to do that, or is he just, I'm gonna bring this to the role because I want you to know that I am in it. So yeah, absolutely, Mo. Absolutely. I cannot wait to get your opinion on how it comes to an end, Tom, because I was thoroughly satisfied. I'm very curious to see your take on the resolve, which yeah, I can't wait for
I'm
that.
looking forward to it. I will probably binge it. Summer has started for me,
Yeah, man.
and so it'll give me something to focus on while I'm looking at the other movies that are coming out throughout this season.
Jeez Louise, you and Liz saw a bunch of shit just this weekend alone.
Well, I took my sons to see Backrooms. Both of my sons are of an age where creepy pastas and internet stuff and all that sort of stuff is really big for them. And so as soon as we saw the trailer. I think it was for Is God Is. We went to see Is God Is, and Backrooms was one of the trailers. And my son was like, "Yep, I want to see that." And so it came out, and I said, "Hey guys, you want to see it?" And so we went and saw it. I am Gen X, so I'm a little too old for 4chan and all this other sort of stuff. I didn't know anything, but I do like creepy, twisty, unsettling, trippy sorts of things. And so I was down to see it. And it is that. It is very trippy. For those who are completely unfamiliar, basically Backrooms is another dimension, but it is possibly the most unsettling and boring dimension ever. It's 600 million square miles of rooms that are just freaky. And when we get into this movie the first time, the rooms that we first see appear to be patterned off aspects of the building, which is the aspect point of the back rooms that we see. And so it's in the basement of a furniture store. And so when he passes through the portal, the first thing he sees is a big pile of cheap ass furniture. And as he walks through the mostly empty spaces, there are, increasingly odd things going on. So some of the furniture is kind of fused into the floor, and some of the furniture is this, that, and the third. He is scared out of the back rooms, and he goes to see his therapist, who has some trauma of her own. And as he's describing it, what he says is, imagine trying to describe a dog to someone who's never seen it, and then ask them to draw a dog. It's like what's in there is being remembered wrong, is how he says it. Ultimately, the therapist ends up in there, and that's when we kind of hit the third act, which is perhaps not as satisfying as just being creeped out. My younger son, who was sitting right next to me, was consistently saying, "Oh no, you got to get the hell out of there." So there's that kind of unsettling sense of dread. And there are some pretty aggressive jump scares and some pretty horrible mutilations, although they mostly take place off camera. But for fans of the genre, I think it's probably going to be very satisfying for them. My older son, who is a big fan of the lore, said he really liked it. My younger son was a bit confused about it, and they kind of throw a lot at you in the last 2 minutes, basically the closing montage of stuff. And there's no real explanation. But I mean, I guess that's the point of 4chan memes that turn into pop culture phenomena and then end up eventually being a movie. It does say that there was a kid who is affiliated with the production of the movie, Kane Parsons, I think his name is, and he started creating a series of short YouTube videos a la Blair Witch, which really turned into and increased the popularity of the concept of Backrooms, and that's what led to the movie. Apparently, the Backrooms Reddit or the subreddit or whatever has like 157,000 members, and so it's a big thing, just like Slender Man was 15 years ago or whatever. This is another thing, but the creepiness and the unsettlingness of it is that it's very mundane until it's not.
Now, Tom, we have a question from Noah Warrior, who wanted to know, what do you think about the copyright aspect of the film, being that it all started on 4chan? Does that hold any weight?
I mean, it's certainly not addressed. And the story that we follow is a specific story. And as far as I know, it doesn't really have anything to do with the broader mythology of the thing. And the one guy who was making the short films is a producer on the film. So,
okay.
So it's not just like, I don't know if you could even copyright a single 4chan image, but from that original image, and they did eventually, because the internet is a thing, they eventually tracked down where the very first original Backrooms image was. And it was in a furniture store in Wisconsin. This movie is set in Santa Clara, California. And one of the things that is necessary is that it's set in the 1990s. So there are no smartphones.
Mm.
In 2026, he would just go down and he'd live stream it. He'd be like, oh no, there's this trippy thing and furniture and oh, there's a monster. And then he'd run out and it would be done. But this is 1990. Literally, there are no smartphones. You've got to have a camcorder. You didn't have you didn't even have Blackberries back then with shitty video. You had to have a camcorder to record anything visually. So, and the aesthetic is very 90s, you know, kind of depressing aesthetic. And, you know, he works at a shitty furniture store, so the furniture is shitty. And, you know, he dresses like a person who's lost his wife and she's still living in the house he pays for. And basically what you end up, well, I don't know if there's anything spoiling it. They do kind of drop a hint pretty early on that Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is the protagonist kind of thingy, he is very angry. And so I don't know if any of you saw the movie Men, where a woman goes to this like English village and all of the men look like the same person and they're all really patronizing and jackassy and douchebaggy. And it's a commentary on toxic masculinity. This isn't in the same way, but it could be interpreted that way. But it's really, I think, more of a treatise about trauma and emotional baggage and stuff like that. So,
well, can I say that in 3 days, it has made more than half of what Star Wars has made in 10.
Really?
Yeah, it's. I think it's.
I mean, I know. Look, I know the word of mouth is heavy. The word of mouth
81
on
million. I'm
Backrooms
talking
is
about just
heavy.
domestically. Just domestically,
Right.
it made over 81 million. Star Wars has made 136 million. Star Wars has been kicked out of IMAX. Now it has been kicked down the curb. I mean,
Well, the thing that's interesting between this movie and Obsession, what is
that's
apparent
that
to me is that studios really need to dramatically rethink what they think a movie needs to be in order to be successful. Because this generation, my kids, they're not looking, I mean, anybody appreciates spectacle, but they don't need spectacle. What they want is something that makes them feel something. And you don't have to do a lot. You don't have to spend $1 bajillion to make something that people feel. Movies like Talk to Me, movies like Bring Her Back, you know, these are smaller films. Those last two are Australian films, but much smaller budgets, but intriguing premises. I don't think Passenger is doing as well, but
It's
movies
not.
like Smile, it doesn't take $1 bajillion to, you know, create something that people want to watch. Blair Witch should have been the abject lesson that taught people that. And a lot of people have tried to recreate Blair Witch, Paranormal, what was that? Paranormal Activity. That turned into a series which declined in popularity. But a movie like Scary Movie is on Scary Movie 7, just about to open. And guess what? They're still making
I think it's
them.
number 6.
No, it's Scary Movie 7.
Oh, my bad. I don't know.
Yeah, because
but I think that some movies though could work, right? So, I mean, Super Mario works. It's almost $500,000 domestically. Michael works.
$500 million. Yeah.
Oh yeah, $500 million, and it's still in theaters. And it works.
Look, I
But
saw
for
Michael
whatever reason-
yesterday. Michael, the first 2 shows I wanted to go see were sold out, except for like the first 2 rows in the front. The show that I went to go see, I managed to snatch up 2 seats, but when I went in there, it was packed out. The showing after, I asked the person at the ticket booth, I'm like, yo, is the next show after this on it? They're like, yeah, sold out. It was sold out yesterday on Friday. So I'm like, yo, Michael is going crazy. I met a guy that was in there, you know, saw me in the lobby, came out, he said, how'd you like it? I'm like, man, it was fantastic. It's one of the best, you know, biopics I've seen on an artist like that. I thought it was phenomenal. He said, this is my 13th time seeing it. I love this.
Damn.
I grew up. He said, I was a
That's a
child
lot.
when Michael Jackson came out. So Michael Jackson for me meant the world as a child growing up on Michael Jackson's music and the Jackson 5. Like when Jackson 5 hit, you know, I'm you know, just about to be a teenager when the Jackson 5 hit. So I've been following them this entire time. I used to go over to the house. He said I probably was one of those people in that crowd cheering in front of his house in Encino. He's just like, I'm a diehard. And so for someone like me who's followed this man's career for my entire life, this film is everything to me. This film is continuously taking me back, and
13.
I am floored. He said that I've seen every documentary, watched every interview, everything I could. He said, I am still floored by the performance that this young man gave. He said, and he was telling me, he said, I don't know if you know it, but this young man became Michael. I don't know if you know it because you're kind of young. You're younger than me. You know, I probably got you by 30 years. But he said, this young man
But
became
13
Michael.
times is
But
ridiculous.
I mean, but that's the level of passion that you had. Michael Jackson, for this man, you think about it, like this man is giving Michael Jackson Avengers Endgame level ticket buying.
Yeah.
For me to see a theater
No, that's
this
true.
many weeks
Obsession.
out, that's
That's
packed.
what it is.
But I
It's
will tell
different,
you,
but
that
what's it
last
called was
45
empty.
minutes is good. That last 45 minutes, though, I could watch over and over again.
No, absolutely. But the point is, Michael Jackson is packed. Mandalorian was empty. Mandalorian is empty. There are like 30 people in there. I looked in there. I'm like, there's only like 30 people in there. This is bad for big blockbusters. Movie theaters right now, like AMC, they just dropped the article saying that thank God basically for Backrooms and Obsession, because those are the films that are bringing people in. It's summertime, young people. They need young people to come to the theaters, because people like me, there were like 2 people that were sitting next to me and my daughter. I'm like, I'm about to get into a fight if they don't shut the fuck up. I can't be in the theater.
Yeah.
For me, you know, I've grown to the point where I don't want people around me like that. But young people who want to go in there and dance and do other shit, for theater to get
They're
them
loud
in,
and
you got to
Michael.
move away from the damn these damn over the top blockbusters like this Avengers, whatever shit that's coming. This is a problem. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be a problem for Marvel, because this film is not looking like it's going to do what it's supposed to do.
And Tom made a great point. I think it kind of bridges the gap here. We have a different generation of film goers who don't need the type of marketing campaigns that we're accustomed to, don't need the big brands that we're loyal to. And it's like, oh yeah, I've been watching this YouTube series for the past 5 years. Yeah, I'd love to see this on the big screen. And they know about it, even though the conventional marketing campaigns are not reaching us. And the question has been, how are movie theaters going to stay in business? And I said, you need to have those movies in which people are going to see 2 and 3, in this case, 13 times. No one thought it was going to be Michael, but it says hello to movie theaters. A lot of people, you know, in our generation and older, they're expecting the big blockbusters to carry the summer movie season. And that may not be the case. It may be the non-blockbusters or the non-sequels or the non-big franchises.
I think the only one is Super Mario, and then a distant 2 is Devil Wears Prada. Everything else has been word of mouth. Michael is doing so well because of word of mouth. Obsession's doing so well because of word of mouth.
Well, and of course it is a little bit different because both of those are sequels. So you do have a built-in audience. But because so many, this new generation, and even especially the generation that's following, I would say at least millennials or Gen Z and then Gen Alpha, they are accustomed to consuming things in 30-second spurts and then moving on. So, you know, the idea of sitting in a place for 90 minutes is somewhat anathema to them. So you need to refigure the calculus on what it's going to take to produce something. And one of the things about Backrooms that I think works is that it's predicated on something that they already spend hours on. They
That's
go
fair.
down the internet rabbit hole, and they're not even watching movies. They're looking at the picture and they're reading the lore. And so they're invested in it in a different way. They're familiar and they want to see what it's going to look like this way. And the movie is populated with a lot of dialogue-free wandering. So it almost feels like you're going through a Reddit or a subreddit and seeing stuff, and you're kind of learning things. And Duplass is in it mostly at the end. We see him a couple of times earlier in the movie, but he gets his only dialogue really at the very, very tail end. And his characters is like, we just want to know even just a little bit more, even one little scrap more than what we know about this. And I don't even think they call it, he calls it the Backrooms. It's just, you've been in there and I've been in there, and this is all I do. This is my job now. I wander through here and I just want to know more. And I think that's what the audience is responding to. And I think
I have 2 points.
Go ahead.
2 points. I feel that I said this last week and I stand on this. Star Wars is pricing people out. So when you make it so overtly that all your products, that you're selling products that are insanely overpriced, and that's what your movie is built on, selling products, it just, you're losing your core fan base that would feel like coming in to have this as an experience. And then, which leads me to the Masters of Universe that movie guy is bringing out. I think Masters of Universe is going to tank. It's already projected to tank.
It's already
And
projected to tank.
I
Yeah.
think that you
Yes.
have it. One, it took too long for this to come out. I think that there was a moment, if there was a moment, it was that She-Ra series that would have at least gotten people like, okay, there's a buzz that's happening. People are watching it. Now, granted, that last season was a little edge, but the point is that people were watching it. There was a little bit of buzz, and I think there was something else that they came out with.
Yeah, Kevin Smith. He did. There was a highly anticipated and highly watched on Netflix He-Man series that Kevin Smith actually did. And they did not capitalize on
You took too
the
long.
rebirth in the lore. And right now, yeah, it's to the point. And not only that, this film, just by the trailers alone, it just looks too cheesy to be real. It does not look like they're serious. And that could be how the film actually, it could be that it's not a serious film.
And
it
who
could
is
be
this
just
for?
a lark. Yeah.
That's the bigger problem. They rebooted it with Kevin Smith. What was it, 3 years ago on Netflix, and got
Yeah,
to
at
see
least,
that
yeah, at
animated
least.
version. My problem with trying to revitalize ancient properties predicated not on any real lore, but just to sell toys. He-Man was a response to Star Wars toys selling well. They said, let's create something that we can sell toys with. And that's all it ever was. Now, Skeletor is a cool looking villain, just like Darth Vader is a cool looking villain who had a vaguely Skeletor, and he's got this cowl that looks like Darth Vader's head, whatever. I'm looking at, I don't know if any of you all saw it, I saw a 12-part AI generated series of Henry Cavill as Kal-El raised on Viltrum.
Yeah.
Fighting Darkseid.
Yes.
It was like 20, at least 10 minutes.
Cinematic quality.
Cinematic quality.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, it didn't look 100% real, but it was still a story. It was a story I'd never heard. You didn't have to care about the rights of the fact that it's Superman in a completely different universe. You just sat there and I swiped through every single episode. And so that's the problem. These movies, I looked at, to go back to Spider-Noir real quick, the opening sequence of Spider-Noir where Ben is swinging through the city. Okay. All CGI. There's nothing about that sequence that couldn't have been done with AI. With a voiceover from
very true.
An AI Nic Cage voiceover. You could have done that opening sequence. Now, the real acting that takes place is a different thing. But for a kid on a phone, if you can create stuff like that, you think about Spider-Verse. Now, Spider-Verse is an amazing artistic achievement with brilliant animators kicking ass, doing all sorts of stuff. I saw a video about one of the things that Spider-Verse does differently is that as opposed to animating on the one where every frame has to have a little thing, Spider-Verse animates on the two. And Spider-Punk, who's an anarchist, actually animates on the 3, and his guitar animates on the 4. So it's like they're doing all these really cool things which are visually arresting and designed to shock and inspire and create, you know, something new and fresh. That's why it works. I don't think you can expect people to go in and spend money when the internet is free and YouTube is free, and I can give a $5 star to a YouTube creator who will take 100,000 other $5 stars and create something that I find to be perfectly enjoyable. So it's really a huge shift in the paradigm, and I love going to movies. I really do. But if they don't figure out either release more of these classics, I took my sons to see Purple Rain because it was back in the theaters. I went to go see Sign of the Times back in the theaters. You got to figure out something that doesn't require a big marketing push. It just on these anniversaries, as these anniversaries hit, and pray the Disclosure Day does business.
But word of mouth is killing stuff like Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is down to the ground. Like word of mouth is killing that film. Word of mouth is going to kill Masters of the Universe. Word of mouth is going to absolutely demolish.
Word of mouth has
Supergirl.
killed Mandalorian and Grogu. Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Now,
And Supergirl.
now the
Supergirl
Supergirl
is
issue,
all the way
the
down to the
Supergirl
ground.
issue is different in that Supergirl was facing, as a character in the right, Ali Milcock, I think her name is, was facing the same level of attack that Homegirl was facing when she started as Captain Marvel. That
Brie Larson.
Brie
Sir,
Larson was facing.
Superman was not good.
No,
So
but
it's hard to
Yes,
make
it was.
Supergirl.
Stop it.
Dr. Liz, listen to what I'm saying. The attacks against her had nothing to do with the film. This is a film that hasn't been seen yet. So to attack her and her character and all of that, they were attacking her out of pure spite, and she went off. She went off, and there is a concerted effort, same as it is with any film starring a woman. Any superhero film starring a woman, all these damn trolls come out the woodworks and attack it no matter what. She has not necessarily helped the cause by her fight back, because all that's done is make these, nutless, basement dwellers go even harder on their attacks. That is what is happening to this film. Even now, Zavlov or whatever from Warner and Gunn have come out to say, you know what? We saw her comments, we saw her fight back, and we support her. We support her, and we stand behind anything that she wants to say to any of these trolls that are attacking her. That is the difference in this film. Now, is the film going to be good? I don't know. I don't know if the film's going to be good. It's not a gun film. But
see, that's the thing.
Still,
it's 12. I'm sorry, I mean to step on 12, but it's both and. There is the overt hate for women who are leading action and superhero movies, and they will review bomb no matter what it is. That is true. But everything I've seen about this Supergirl movie, how it's marketed, and whether we're supposed to even like the protagonist, says to me that this movie is going to bomb on the merits.
True.
It's
true.
It's another pastiche. You've got Lobo in it. You've got scrappy, alien gangsters in it. You've got her as this girl who goes to planets where she can be drunk because they've got a red sun. And she's a dick to her cousin, and we don't know why she's a dick to her cousin. And it looks like Michael Shannon apparently is in it in a flashback. I don't know what's going on with this movie.
Wait,
all
Michael
I know
Shannon?
I saw a picture of Michael Shannon in a spacesuit. Yes, my Zod. I'm, I'm just telling you, it was
Well,
Michael Shannon in a puffy Michelin Man silver spacesuit, and that's what she was wearing in this capsule, holding Crypto on her lap. It was Michael Shannon and some chick and Clara Zor-El in a capsule and with a silver puffy Michelin Man spacesuit on. And the somebody was saying, "Oh, see, puffy spacesuit. You never would have gotten that in the Snyderverse." And somebody said, "Yeah, we got dildo cocoons for the Snyderverse." And I don't care what
The new
any Zack
preview's
Snyder
not doing it
fan
better.
said. Those were cryogenic dildos. There's no other way, and the jet was in the balls. Stop it. That was craziness.
That was look,
So,
that was insanity. We shall see. I mean, this may be again a softer launch of a character. I know, most of y'all may not have liked Superman. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and this is a softer launch to a universe as a whole. James Gunn is not necessarily concerned with going over the top of this character. He likes what he likes, and so far his films are winning for Warner Brothers. He's not being exited with any of these changes that are happening. So far they've got their faith in him. So we'll see. But just as a movie, just the overall hype and word of mouth and all that going into it, there is nothing necessarily good being said about the film. Not in the early previews. Nothing good is coming out about Supergirl. Nothing good is coming out about Man of Steel. So or not Man of Steel, He-Man. So right now, June is looking like a wash because Mandalorian and Grogu is a wash. We don't know about Toy Story Infinity or whatever, but the big films
the popcorn
for June that are
buckets are
supposed to be
amazing.
kicking off the summer are Mandalorian and Grogu, Toy Story, Supergirl, and whatchamacallit, and He-Man and Supergirl.
I'm letting you know that Toy Story is
good.
Toy Story is going to do amazing. Number one, Taylor Swift just announced that she is the voice of something. She's coming out with 4 new albums for Toy Story.
single.
Single, but she has different.
I'm
she has
done
the
with the
different pictures for
franchise,
each
so
other. I get you that you may be done, but I'm just letting you know. And the popcorn bucket is amazing. I think that Toy Story is going to be another anomaly. I think it's going to be amazing. But the popcorn bucket spectrum here, they're trashing the popcorn bucket, and it's based off of Jason Momoa's character, because there's only people are clowning it by saying there's only 7 pieces of popcorn that fits in the popcorn bucket.
It looks like a topper. It doesn't even look like a bucket.
Right. And
I thought that was a topper. I didn't,
no, it's the whole bucket.
Anything in it.
That's part of the problem. And I know that you all, I'll exit off of this point, but because you had Jason Momoa play Aquaman, and granted the second one was trash, I get it, but the fact that it's in my recent memory, it's really hard for me to look at him as a whole nother character and not think of him as Aquaman something else.
I felt the same way about Chris Evans as Captain America. I kept on thinking Johnny Storm, but then I just got used to it.
Yeah, but he was so good.
It is a bit different because many, many more years had passed.
How many though? I mean,
well, Fantastic Four 2 versus Captain America.
What, 3-4 years? Not that many years.
Yeah, but Aquaman just happened. You just had Aquaman. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
So 2007. 2007 was the last time he was in Fantastic Four, and then Captain America, the first one.
Do you know who produced that? You know who produced that movie? Executive produced that movie? The Fantastic Four, Rise of Silver Surfer?
Who?
I watched it again last week. Kevin Feige.
Really?
Really. And my
So
jaw dropped.
it was 4 years later. When he
Kevin Feige's been around for a minute.
But
He's
also,
not new to this. He's just new to having some control.
But I think that they also played into that in the Wolverine, the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I don't know. I feel as if Aquaman was such a bigger movie. It made $1 billion. So I don't
First
know if
one
you
did,
can
yeah.
compare it to like the Fantastic Four, where it didn't do so well in comparison to the Chris Evans kind of space. You can completely forget about that. I can't forget Aquaman. He was the embodiment of Aquaman.
I
I
don't know if he's the embodiment of it. I don't know about all that.
But
no.
I'm saying that they've attached that character to him so well, and he made over $1 billion with it.
You never watched.
He was, look, he did the Aquaman. Feige also did the X-Men films. He was the producer on the X-Men films. He wasn't the executive producer, but he was a producer on those films. That's where he cut his teeth.
The first Fantastic Four, well, the first popular, not the very first, because the first Fantastic Four movie was an unreleased
Roger Corman.
Right.
Yeah.
I happen to know the writer. We went to high school together. But the first Fantastic Four movies were made before Marvel turned it into an unmitigated super thing. You had the Spider-Man films, but right after the second Fantastic Four movie, you had Iron Man, which kicked off the MCU and just set everything rolling. Granted, even Iron Man wasn't as big a box office hit, but by the time Aquaman came out and DC started revamping their movies, the pump had been primed for all of this extra stuff. And so it is a little bit different than, Fantastic Four made money. It just didn't make like $1 bajillion. And so it's just a matter of figuring out. Now everybody associates him with Captain America, and so it's fine. I still see Jason Momoa as Khal Drogo, but that's what got him the Aquaman gig. I never really liked him as Aquaman, but I do recognize how much money it made. But I think that was kind of a
look. I always thought he should have been Lobo. From jump, I think
Lobo's the better
how he
character,
acts
clearly.
is Lobo. Like when we first saw that he was going to be cast in the DC movie, so many before we learned it was Aquaman, we were like, "Oh man, he's going to be Lobo." And then we heard it was Aquaman, we were like, "Huh? Aquaman is blonde. Like, how does that work?" And because no one knew he was going to be Aquaman with the long dark hair, but the casting of Aquaman was weird in the beginning because he doesn't look like Aquaman. He looks like Lobo. He acts like Lobo in everything he does. This is the role that he was absolutely born to play. Will it come through? Will it overshadow Supergirl? We'll see. But it's right now, to y'all point, it's not looking good. But before we get too long in the tooth, what else y'all watching? Mo, what you got on?
It's weird because I'm going back and rewatching movies of the 80s, not for nostalgia, just to get a better sense of looking at them through late middle age eyes and whether different characters resonate. I identify with different characters now. I went back and watched Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines.
Oh, wow.
And the movie is really good. Yeah, it's dated, but it's still a good movie. And you can see how the ethos of how movies are made have been changed and how they feature humor. But you get to rediscover a lot of the movies because you remember them, but you don't really remember everything about them. So it's still a relatively new movie in that regard. You kind of like you get to see a young Joe Pantoliano, whatever his last name is. I can never pronounce it.
Pantoliano.
Pantoliano.
I say Loney.
It's Ano. Yes.
Ano. Okay. Well, he's in the movie, but he's a brand new actor at that point, and you forget and you get to find and discover little tidbits like that. People who are just starting out, or just seeing a movie from a different aspect. So I'm rewatching just a lot of movies from the 1980s. I rewatched Predator for the 55th time. Still found some different things in it. And I realized that 2/3 of that cast is unfortunately gone. If you watch and you start counting up the people who are no longer here. Yeah, Jesse Ventura and Arnold is still here, but the loss of Carl Weathers and others in the movie is just like, we're getting to that age.
Yeah. Absolutely. What about you, Dr. Liz?
Okay, so they have a new series on Apple TV, but it's a spin-off, though. It's a spin-off of For All Mankind. It's Star City, which is what's happening in the USSR, Russia, before, at the same time that's what's happening in America. So it's kind of an interesting mix. It's different. It's interesting. It gives you a little bit more background on that. But I did go to the movies and I did see the movie that Tom recommended. He recommended
Is God is?
Tuner.
Oh,
No,
Tuner.
I saw Is God Is. Is God is okay. I like Tuner. I thought, another one. The main character is so freaking likable. And so you really don't want anything to happen to him. And I thought that movie was actually really good. I don't think that was a money laundering movie. I thought that they really did care about the movie.
That one didn't fit your criteria.
No, it doesn't. But also, I did see Pressure. And okay, I know that you all will. He's the person who plays Eisenhower is the guy. This is about the weather and how the weather men between Great Britain and America, they were coming together to advise when should we go in for D-Day. And you had Eisenhower. Is his name Brian who plays Eisenhower? The guy who played Whale. The guy who was in Whale.
Brendan.
Brendan Fraser.
I do not like him in this at all. I think his acting is terrible. I'm not sure if Eisenhower is this much of a jerk. And if he is, that's fair. But I still don't like his portrayal. I think his acting is pretty terrible. But other than that, I thought that the movie was pretty interesting. I mean, it's worth the watch. It's only an hour and 45 minutes. So, go for it. Yeah, it's a short movie. And I learned something. So, that's nice to learn something.
Okay.
I didn't know it was that short.
We were talking about the summer movies, just to take one step back. We're talking about the summer movies and some which are underperforming, some which are overperforming. Every review that I've seen, and I tried to stay away from any spoilers, every review of Disclosure Day that I've come across, they've been over the moon about this movie. And they've been very coy. There was a question in the chat, is this supposed to have anything to do with Independence Day? No, I actually, from the reviews I've read, they won't say it, but it's feeling like it's a sequel to one of his previous movies.
Have you seen the latest trailer?
Yes, I have.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. The inclusion of the alien, to me, at least the fingers were very telling.
Yes. If
I was
you're
like,
a Spielberg fan,
yeah,
yes.
I was like, it looks like this is going to be it. And the review that Tom shared with us earlier in the chat, I'm like very hyped on this one. Very hyped on this one. This is Spielberg at his finest. I'm like, okay, this is what
that
we
popcorn
want.
container looks trash.
Yeah. Look, I don't own a single one of those things. So I'm okay.
Neither do I.
I
wonder. They're really leaning into the importance of the animals and whether or not the animals are actually secretly aliens. There's some stuff going on with the animal tie-in to the feature, which is intriguing to me.
What you watching, Tom?
Well, I think I talked about it last week, but Kill Boksoon, which is a K-drama. It's available on Netflix. You can skip the sequel, The Mantis, but Kill Boksoon is basically a female Korean John Wick. And it is damn good.
Interesting.
It has, she literally is a hired assassin. She's raising a daughter. There's politics inside the Assassin's Guild. There's like all these different gangs that are underneath one super gang. and it's not a revenge flick in the way that John Wick is, but in terms of the fights and the blood and the murders and the fact that there is this super organizing, governing support structure behind criminal enterprise in Korea is really compelling. And since it is just a movie, it's not a series, it's an easy watch. And I found myself wondering what the sequel would be. I just think they chose to go in the wrong direction, and they leaned into the silliness of young killers as opposed to the maturity of this very calculating, seasoned killer, whose name is Gil Bok-soon, but Gil and Kill sound the same, and she's a murderer, so it's called Kill Bok-soon. Very good. If you're into K-dramas and you want to watch like some wicked revenge shit, check out The Glory. It is 16 long episodes, and it will make you think that South Korea must be one of the worst, most corrupt societies ever, because these people are assholes. But it's man, oh man, it's a good show. So I would just say that is definitely something that you should consider if you're into Korean stuff at all.
I am,
it is a worthy entrance.
And Tom, I got to ask you, because you said something that was important. K in English is pronounced like G in Korean. Like,
yes.
So that might have been part of the confusion with the pronunciation of the name. Are you reading subtitles?
No. The name of the movie that they have translated is Kill Bok-soon. And in the subtitles, sometimes they say Gil, sometimes they say Kill.
That's why.
Mostly they say Gil.
Yeah.
But it's like her nickname, because even though they're set in Korea, they call them shows, not assignments, not contracts. They call them shows. And so she does international shows. So they don't really, there's like occasional little drops of English, but it's certainly not one of those K-dramas where like half the dialogue is in English. It's not like that. But it seems to me that it was a purposeful pun that Gil Bok-soon is really Kill Bok-soon.
Yeah,
or like Kill Bill. It's kind of like it does have echoes of Kill Bill. And so I think maybe that was perhaps from a marketing perspective, when they marketed it for American audiences, that Kill Bill and Kill Bok-soon is kind of what they were going.
Yeah, I'd have to see that, because when anything dealing with Korean, if it's the letter B in English, it's pronounced P.
Right.
In English, like the city of Busan is pronounced Busan. And anything with K, if you're going to say Kuksanim, it's actually Guksanim. And I wonder if they're playing on the pronunciation.
I'm sure I'm absolutely sure it's intentional. And because it would be different if she were like a pastry chef. But since she's an assassin, it just makes sense to lean into it.
Kill, right. Okay.
All right, what you watching, McBang?
With the limited free time that I have, I've been catching up on a long list of shows that I'm very, very far behind on. Invincible and Star Trek Discovery. I'm in the beginning of season 2 of Invincible. I'm in, I believe I'm in season, I think 3 of Discovery, which I really, really like. For me, it's still not the best Star Trek. For me, that's Deep Space Nine, but I'm digging this. And that's about it.
3. So I'd love to hear your thoughts after you end season 3 of Discovery.
Okay, I will let you know.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. I don't think I've been watching anything. I think the only thing I finally did get a chance to watch is Michael. And I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the things that I learned about Michael. I love the perspective. I think that Jafar's performance was transcendent. I thought as soon as he opened up his mouth and started talking, I was shook. I was like, damn. Like, wow.
First syllable.
Yes.
I was like, oh, snap. I was blown away, and through the transition, through the nose surgeries, I'm like more and more. There were a couple of profile shots of him that are like they just threw Michael in there. They just threw an actual clip of Michael in there because that was him. I thought the cinematography was flawless. I thought all the transitions were beautiful. I did think that they could have spent maybe a little less time on the music pieces. Some of the music pieces, I'm like, okay, I got it. I know the song. I know the song. I know it well. Like, oh, you're gonna give me the whole song. Oh, okay, got you. But still, I thought like all those things were so good. Coleman, Domingo. Look, if Jafar and Coleman are not up for awards come next season or this upcoming season, there's a problem because Coleman Domingo transformed into Joe Jackson in a way that I'm like, there were a couple of moments that I forgot that it was Cole Domingo who was playing him. I forgot it all altogether because it was just, he was so into the role. I was like, damn, this dude is giving us Joe Jackson, and the makeup, everything was so damn good in that movie. I wish we would have been able to see the full vision that they had when they had the longer version. I was so curious to see what would the story have been like if they would have kept the Diana Ross stuff in, if they would have even kept just a little bit to Janet that were supposed to be in there, because it was weird with the film acting as if there was only one sister. Like that was, after a while I was like, what the hell's going on? Like you guys know that there was another sister that should have been at least one of the dinner table scenes. And well, Reby left early. Reby was out the house early. I mean, still you could have, but
she exists.
I just thought that there was, especially as they got older, with them just absolutely erasing Janet's existence. I thought that was interesting, especially because they talked to LaToya so much, and I'm like, that's interesting because anytime you hear a Janet interview, anytime you would have heard Michael, they always talk about how close they were. Specifically, those two talk about how close they were.
But there's an age gap.
To be fair, Janet did not want to be affiliated with the project.
No. I get that. That's why I said I wish we would have been able to have seen the full version and see what it was that we were not missing. Yes, I understand that Janet was like, nah, I'm good. And even Diana Ross was like, nah, I'm good. And so that's why they made it, all about.
It was a little bit different with Diana, because they did actually shoot scenes in Studio 54 with Diana, and there was stuff about the Wiz. Now, because the movie has made so much money, they're already supposedly ramping up production on the sequel, and the sequel is supposed to address some of those things. If they do, I think the way to do it is to do it how they did The Godfather Part 2, where the stuff that we missed from the past that we wanted, with a Jafar aged Michael, all of the stuff from the Wiz, more of the stuff of him and Dirty Diana. They're probably still not going to be able to deal with the big case, the case that was settled, because there's still an NDA signed about that. And I don't know that they want to give oxygen to Wade Robson and the other kid from the Finding Neverland documentary. But it is possible that they will deal with it. But it seems to me that if you, instead of going just forward, if you go back to give us more of what people really, really wanted to see before Off the Wall or during Off the Wall, that means Joe is back. But, it also means maybe Nia Long has a bigger part, because from the rumors, it was Catherine, after he proposed to Diana and Diana accepted, it was Catherine who was like, you ain't marrying that old heifer. And that's what broke it apart.
What's interesting about the Wiz to me is not having it makes all of those scenes of him looking at the Wizard of Oz mute. Like, you should have cut those little spots of him continuously looking at the Wiz, because clearly you have us looking at.
Pan?
No, he did both. He did
Yeah, both
Peter
books.
Pan, and then he
Persistent.
also read a lot of the Wizard of Oz in the back of the car as a kid. Like, I mean, why keep that if you're not going to put the Wiz in the movie? I think you could have cut that out and just kept him reading Peter Pan. But
Well, hopefully
my
though, in the second film,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's actually probably the most sound idea, Tom, is to go back
I agree.
and cut back into some of those scenes and to flesh out more of the past. Personally, I don't need to see it go into those controversies, but I would hope that there is a way for them to go back and maybe include some of his desire to act and some of those things and include the Wiz. I'd like to see more of the production that went into, the albums Off the Wall. And I think that I think if they could get into, him purchasing the Beatles catalog and just some
Oh,
of the
the beef.
shrewdness of Michael as a businessman, I think that those
That would
things,
be cool.
I would like to see more of that
And
because
him
that's
as a
something that
Simpsons
he's not.
character, and him
Just
yeah, for
some
sure.
really cool stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Like the film was phenomenal.
I loved, and my last point is when he did in that, one of my favorite scenes is when he was crafting the Thriller album, and eventually the sound stopped and they did this whole I was like, that is such a crafty way to put a nail in this moment. But anyway, I
Yeah.
enjoy I actually don't mind the music. I know that somebody made a comment about the fact that the music was too much of music, but I could just sit back and watch Jafar play the music over and over again, and I thought he did a great job. So, but anyway,
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Next week, we've got Scary Movie and we've got Masters of the Universe.
I'm
I
not
am
watching
seeing
that.
Masters of the
I ain't gonna
Universe.
see it.
I know Tom,
I'm seeing Scary Movie
you're
7.
seeing Scary Movie. Okay, good.
I'm
I
not
absolutely-
seeing Scary Movie. I'm gonna see Masters of the Universe.
Scary
Oh,
Movie
there-
7 for me.
That was boom. There we go. We've got reviews of both. Spoilerific reviews coming your way next week. Fantastic. Till then, take us out, Dr. Liz.
Good night, everyone.
McBain.
Kneel before Zod!
Mo Kelly.
Lilu Dallas, multipass.
Thomas Talking Cunningham.
Where is my black and white suit?
Excelsior.